Final exhibit, Sammy's Vice Project Doom. Story. In the dark and distant cyberpunk future, Blade Runner anyone? A company dealing in the development and distribution of electronic equipment and military weapons. In reality, it's an extraterrestrially managed front. In other words, this company is run by aliens who have been occupying our beloved planet for centuries. Known as Beta, has broken big with their latest substance, Gel. This very substance, currently sold as an illegal underworld drug, was intended as a central source of nourishment for otherworldly beings. However, if it's consumed by humans, they end up with extremely horrendous side effects, most notably mutation. Therefore, it's up to the limitless cunning and wit of a vice agent, Quinn Hart, as well as the combined intellectual strategies of both his partner / better half and their associate, Christy and Sophia respectively, to unravel this inscrutable conspiracy before things get way the hell too out of hand. Basic yet intriguing. Getting to both the basic gameplay factor and controls, Vice Project Doom is a 3-in-1 action platformer, top-view driving shmup, and rail shooter hybrid in the styles of Ninja Gaiden, Spy Hunter by Warner Brothers, rest in peace Midway, and even titles Operation Wolf, Sunsoft's Freedom Force, SNK Claymore's Mechanized Attack, what have you, respectively. Which gives us a rather pleasing variety, kinda like Bayou Billy or Action 52. Except Vice isn't way too brutal, frustrating, or tedious like the former and latter. And take note, this is the last time I ever mentioned these titles. Upon starting, the Spy Hunter inspired top-view driving action comes into play, the first of which occurs before the title screen appears no less, in which multiple enemies are shot down via the B button while avoiding various obstacles, though the traffic cones and barricades don't damage the car in any form, except for the highway sightings, as well as cars and alien crafts. The speed of your car can be changed via the A button, and these stages end upon defeat of the area boss. Next is the aforementioned majority feature of its gameplay, the ever-popular Ninja Gaiden-inspired action platforming section. With cutscenes thrown in between, in most of the stages, it's much more than just your usual point A to point B, strike first, ask questions later, avoiding every trap and projectile possible journey. In terms of attacks, Agent Hart wields 3 weapons, 2 of which use up a specific bullet and or unit of power, in which case they must be used sparingly and or recharged. A high-energy saber-like laser whip, a 44 Magnum revolver with limited range in each bullet, but with effective stopping power, and a shit ton of grenades that create a massive impact, obliterating even the toughest of enemies. Also, in not only the top-view driving stages, but also the action platforming stages, you can collect coins for extra lives, yet again a la Super Mario, and recharge your life and weapon stock via healing aid beverages and meat bones, as well as bullet and grenade cards respectively. Finally, there's the Operation Wolf-inspired first-person rail shooter rounds, in which the stage background auto-scrolls, while hordes of enemies in both close and jumping ranges appear throughout, minus the zapper compatibility of course. While it's true that most of them must be eliminated at all costs via only the revolver and grenades, assault timing is a vital factor in these stages. Therefore, the close-range enemies must definitely be wasted in order to avoid being nailed. And need I mention that the aforementioned coins and power-ups can also be collected throughout those rounds? As far as the game's overall controls, they are nothing short of precise and agile as Quinn Hart responds to your every command, attacking and jumping B and A respectively, climbing ladders up and down on the D-pad, and switching tactics whenever possible. Now concerning Vice's challenge, in comparison to the Ninja Gaiden trilogy, Kabuki Quantum Fighter, and Shatterhand combined, Vice is definitely on the same wavelength, if not close to their standards, in terms of difficulty. Of course, there's the trademark bird that always pursues you for no apparent reason, as well as various traps and obstacles to venture your way through. Dissolving platforms, enemy attacks, narrow yet not very far away platforms. My only advice is to just time your strikes upon the bird's dark pursuit, same with that of the other enemies, and physical evasions exactly. And as I've stated in previous reviews, the patterns for the bosses are about a quarter slice of fat-free cheesecake once you learn them, but can get even tougher, if in this game's case not so much, later. Composed and designed by the combined efforts of Masaki Hashimoto and Takahiro Okuta, each and every cutscene and stage is accompanied by their intriguing, if somehow bland, music. Even in the aforementioned cutscenes, the scores tend to repeat themselves every once in a while, and despite how disorienting it might turn out to be, I don't happen to see any gripes with the overall score and sound effects whatsoever. In terms of graphics, the backgrounds are well designed and animated, and so is our main hero. But most important of all, the cutscenes. Displayed not only at the beginning of the game, but at various intervals between each and every stage, they'll leave you on the edge of your damn seat in ways that, frankly, one couldn't possibly imagine. From the O'Connor warp sequence with the 6502 assembly code background, to the control room with his superiors as they communicate with our hero about a specific situation throughout the course of his progress, not to mention the vibrant, if dark at times, and lively settings throughout each stage. Fun fact and replayability wise, aside from the aforementioned challenge, mostly in terms of the ever so crucial jump timing and vertical corridor navigation, well, in this game's case at least, then again I might have played way better, there are other tidbits, if maybe just one, that sell the ever-loving crap out of this hidden gem. The combined sci-fi, horror, and futuristic hybrid atmosphere and theme, as well as O'Connor's ability to obliterate enemies physically not only by using his own damn limbs, but also his fucking hair. Must I go on any damn further? Composed by the indestructible duo of Koichi Yamanishi and Iku Mizutani, based on the Soulbrain soundtrack by Hiroyuki Iwasuki. The soundtrack is by far some of the best I've heard in any nostalgic game, no matter how popular and or underrated it is. With the exception of areas E and F, which pretty much use the same song, every other stage and or event uses a different composition. First off, the intro music is nothing short of glorious, and the same could be said for other instances. Well, those tracks to name a few. And for each and every boss Shatterhand faces, the boss music is the exact same. As for the sound effects, they're definitely spot on and satisfying, with no trace of them being awkwardly out of place and or desynchronized. Of course, the only three effects I'd have to go with are A, the boss teleporter at the end of each stage, B, the gravity warps in areas E and G, and C, the explosive demise of every boss as they whiten to their very last living second. Overall, they aren't too monotonous and repetitive to deter the player from being motivated, and despite not having an official soundtrack CD released for this game, it's still nothing short of rousing and equal to a lifetime supply of ear candy. The graphical capabilities of Shatterhand are about as crystal clear as transparent aluminum. Maybe not that clear, but you get the drift. Everything from the character sprites and projectiles, not to mention their well-defined physiques and animation cycles, to the vibrant and amazing backgrounds, complete in every detail with some cases of parallax scrolling, and absolutely no traces of black lining, if some, almost resembling a 16-bit game. Concerning Shatterhand's replayability and fun factor, a few other details I forgot to mention, and those are where those aspects come into play. And no, these do not count as spoilers in any way whatsoever. In some of the stages, there are hidden areas and power-ups to gain access. All it takes is luck and curiosity to detect and discover each and every last one. Also, as you progress throughout even the hardest stages, like most games, be sure to exercise your agility and strategies often, and this is where the following sayings come into play. Practice makes perfect, and if at first you don't succeed, you get the idea. Most importantly, there's even a music and sound test mode, complete with a boss practice mode for the first 6 bosses, all with the obvious exception of the final boss, Gus Grover, that lets you test your ultimate skills against them. However, the only way to access it is to put in a special code at the title screen after skipping the intro. With ICOM's own Kiyoshi Yokoyama helming the composition tasks, Vice contains some of the catchiest, if rather forgettable, soundtracks. Each track fits the mood of the stages and cutscenes to a T. My personal faves would definitely have to be the following. Here's track A. Especially track B. And this is where Hart faces off against his worst enemy, in 2 parts no less. Graphically, for an 8-bit game from '91, visuals aren't too shabby. Take the second stage after the title screen, for example, with the water's reflection of the city in the background. Hell, almost every other stage and cutscene is pretty much filled to the mark with gritty, yet enriching urban, natural, and mechanical exteriors as well as interiors. Despite most of the characters' poses and expressions being overused within the cutscenes, it's not that big of a gripe at all. But overall, Vice's graphics and presentation are above average for its time. It's not just about the previously mentioned multi-gameplay variety that keeps this game going, oh fuck no. In fact, please refer to the challenge statement I discussed earlier, since it ties in very closely with the replayability. My final verdict on all these 3 underrated hidden gems. For KQF, if you're into intense, exhilarating, and mind-blowing action platformers like this one, definitely keep that in mind. Sure, other reviewers and gamers can say whatever the hell they want with it, well guess what? It's their own goddamn problem. So I highly recommend that one. For Shatterhand, considering Natsume's still alive and kicking today, Angelico's been long since dead and buried since every release of their game turns out to be a failure, mostly due to issues in terms of finance and timing, and it's under new, if somewhat brief, management of MCOM Holdings, whose central focus is on security-related, financial, technological, and real estate services, and is in no way connected to any of Angelico's past accomplishments. The only gripes I could sniff out was that the game should have had and or used way more than what was presented to us from the get-go, having a different track for Area F with the burning city in the background. Not to mention that most of the levels in their respective boss areas, mostly for melee combat, are drastically imbalanced, thus making your journey a huge pain in the testicles, even without a droid helper no less. And most importantly, there should have been more hidden areas and power-ups added. And don't even get me started on that third-rate cover/label art. Trust me, it's even more abysmal than Mega Man. And finally, for Vice Project Doom, there are absolutely no words to describe the awesome variety and challenge that this obscure gem has to offer. Also, the raving on this game, according to issue 45 of Nintendo Power, does not lie. The 11th-stage sci-fi adventure game has lots of action to offer. The variety of the stages also make for an enjoyable play. Next time you fire your NES, keep this one in mind. Bottom line, in all seriousness, this makes us NES hard action platformer addicts, like yours truly, want to play them even more. Hell, it's way more addictive than any puzzle game ever made. So what the hell are you waiting for? Chinese New Year? Track them down already. I know I did. I assure you, you won't regret it. Until then, this is the Hardcore Retro God signing off.